Okay, hi guys, how you doing? And welcome to Advanced Digital Imaging. Now I want to do this video mostly to introduce myself and kind of introduce you to the class and kind of see what do we have in front of us. And, you know, self-admittedly, I think the name of the class might be a little bit deceptive because it kind of alludes to the fact that we're going to be doing digital imaging, working in Photoshop. But upon further examination, we'll see that that's not exactly the case. So I guess what I'm saying is that this is not a continuation of Introduction to Digital Imaging, okay, which does deal with Photoshop and Illustrator. So, okay, so that set aside, this course is more about using your digital skills to build a brand for yourself, to develop your brand identity as a designer. And why do we do that? We do that in order to differentiate ourselves and to establish a good, solid visual brand in order to assist us in our introduction to the design hiring field. And in doing so, it's really important that you differentiate yourself from the thousands of other designers that are entering the field at the same time you are. Specifically and more directly to differentiate yourselves from the other designers that will be applying for the same jobs that you'll be applying for. So, and in order to do that, we just really need to start building ourselves a good, solid brand identity. How do we do that? We start with a logo and we build on that. And that's really how brand identity is built. So basically what this is doing now, you've all had classes in brand identity. Okay, and you know that we start with the logo. We start with color development and logo development through typography, a relationship between a visual mark, typography, and color. So we're going to do that for ourselves, basically taking ourselves on as our own client so that we'll build a brand in order to promote ourselves. Okay, that's the basic essence of the class. The identity system itself, there's a few different components, which we don't really need to get into right now. But I do want to say that right now, the main thing that you need to start thinking about is how do I want to visually represent myself? Okay, and that's really important. In other words, how are you going to design your own logo? What colors are you going to use? What typefaces are you going to use? Have reasons and be able to answer questions like why are you using this color? Why did you use this typeface? Etc., etc. So I want you to start thinking about the whys behind design instead of just the hows or the whats. I want you to really start thinking about the whys because presumably in future endeavors looking for work, you're going to get a lot of questions. And a lot of those questions are going to involve the whys behind design. Okay, why did you use that typeface? Why did you use this color combination? Why did you elect on a vertical layout instead of a horizontal layout? Et cetera, et cetera. See what I'm saying? So, so I want you to start thinking towards that. Now, I do want to draw your attention to something. I'm just in a syllabus right now, guys. I'm just going through this. Oh, here's your book right here, Debbie Rose Myers, John Wiley and Sons. It's the 3rd edition of the Graphic Designer's Guide to Portfolio Design. So be sure you get that. It's available for purchase in this link right here. This instructor availability and response time. Now, those of you who have had me before know that I'm a really super active instructor. So I'm in every day. I mean, I am. I'm in the discussion board in grading and somewhere in the class at least once or twice a day. So I don't mind doing that. So don't worry about response time for me. You won't be waiting. Okay, and then here's your grading scale. You can look through that. But what I really want to get to is right here. Where are we? Well, let me just jump over here. I've got. You know, this class has 2 final exams, and the first final exam is this. Okay, so I just want to look at this really quick. The final exam. The first final exam, you will create a professional branding suite. Okay, and that's what I just talked about. But I want to draw your attention to this third paragraph here. Your professional branding suite should be built within the platform you created in GRA 410. Now, that's one of the prerequisites for this class. So if you have not had GRA 410, get with me immediately. Because this is might present a problem. Okay. It basically, it means that you're in a class that you haven't had a prerequisite to. So that could definitely create some issues. So please get with me as soon as possible on that, if that's your situation. But what I want to draw your attention to is that it's saying your professional branding guide will be built on the platform you created in GRA 410. Now, GRA 410, you created a website, a designer's website. So what you can do with that website, just keep the link live and just add a page on that website for advanced digital imaging for this class. Okay, and then you can keep all your work in that separate page, okay, off your main web page. Now, if in the situation that you don't have your website from GRA 410, we do allow you to use Behance to create a website, but again, get with me before you get to work and let me know if that's the situation, okay? And the rest of the specifications are clearly drawn out here. So I'll leave that to you. I just want to introduce that to you. And then the second part of the final, or actually I shouldn't say the second part of the final, but the second final project is a class overview. And it's basically you describing your experiences in the classes as well as giving a very robust and detailed peer critique for some of your classmates' final work. Okay, so the reason I'm bringing it out is because I want you to start thinking forward on how are you going to start really creating this kind of synopsis, an overview of your experience. And the best way I think to do that is to, when you're working, grab some screenshots and write a couple of little blurbs about what you're working on. For instance, when you're working on your logo, grab a couple screenshots, because in this final project, you're going to be reflecting on feedback you received through the course on your branding suite. So reflecting on that feedback, I think if you were able to add some actual critical comments from myself as well as your classmates, and how you address those comments, and subsequently how it affected a change in your design. Okay. And then, so that's a really good way to approach the second part. The second final is, save screenshots. Show what you're talking about. Remember, we're in a visual field, so show when you're reflecting on your feedback. If you're making observations, show some screenshots. Show us what you're talking about, and that's also really going to show a great preparation for the final. It's going to show that you have been working on this portion of the final, and presumably you should be working on this portion of the final, really starting during week 1. Okay. All right, guys. I mean, that's basically what I have, is this welcome to week 1. Where am I? Over here, learning module. So let's see what we have coming up here in week 1, January 2nd to January 8th. Here's your overview, your learning objectives. Of course, this week's plan at a glance. Review the module resources and readings. Post your initial post to the discussion forum. Review final for projects 1 and 2. Final projects 1 and 2, and then post your 2 response posts. Okay, listen, guys, a lot of students lose points unnecessarily because they don't post their response posts or say, well, I'll get to it later on this week. This is so important. I mean, this could take you literally, I think I did the math once. I think this could take you from a high C to a low A just by, I shouldn't say that. This could drop you from an A feasibly to a high C or a low B by not participating. And so it's really, really effective towards your final grade. So please keep that in mind. Okay. I hate deducting points when students don't respond to their peer response posts, because it's just so unnecessary. And it's so important that you have good critical engagement with your classmates. Research shows time and again that students with good critical and analytical skills get promoted more often and earlier than those counterparts that don't possess those same qualities. So really keep that in mind. It's important stuff. Okay, then you have your discussion and final project review. And of course, and at the end of every single module is this assignments and rubrics, guidelines and rubrics, where you click that open and you'll find your rubrics and guidelines for every project in the course. Okay, so again, welcome to week 1. I'm an open door guy, as you guys can tell. I'm pretty outgoing, so you know what, call me. I'm, like I said, I'm in every day, so I don't mind questions, comments, calls, whatever. I'm right on it. That's my promise. Okay. So that said, if there are any questions, please feel free to just give me a holler or post them over here in the discussion board. If you go over here, this first posted discussion board is general questions, and any kind of general questions there for the class. And I'm on that every day. So, but I do want to remind you that's a public forum, so try to keep things personal in nature out of there. Okay. All right, guys, great job. I will see you week 1 discussion board. All right. Any questions? I'm right here. Thanks, guys.